Say my name.
Jim,
You just become best friends. Yep.
I love the poorly educated.
I diddly hey. Neighboring now. Put her there, pal. Yeah, shake my hand like a man. It is Jim, Phil, you. So let's get to it, huh? So I had this idea. I'm like, you know what? I have a couple of ideas brewing actually. So I'm like, we should get fertile with it. We should crank some of this shit out while I'm still sitting here. But my phone's charging, so I can't use my internet connection right now. So we're going to do something I can just top of my head shit, right? We're gonna continue talking about Senator Totenkopf, the senator-elect from the great state of Maine. I know he's not actually going to get elected, but isn't this just a most beautiful moment in history when there's this like woman-beaten, like man-raping, toilet bowl huffing, like masturbator with a fucking Nazi tattoo that's like about to, make a legitimate run for the U.S. Senate? I was totally on board with it, but then I found out he's a fucking rich kid, congenitally wealthy, and I'm like, I'm not down with that, bro. We won't even speak the same language. There's just nothing I can say to a guy like that. True story. That is like that's my bar, bro. I'd be like, you're a scumbag. I can look past it depending on the context. I'd be like, I legit did ask myself. The more and more I heard about Graham Plattner, the more I was like, you think that guy likes good black metal? But with that said, I'd be like, and it's nothing. I recognize you can't help how you were born, but you also don't need everyone to like you. And the simple fact is, if your parents had a lot of money, and even if they didn't, but if you went to a university whatsoever, I probably intensely dislike you. Just saying. Leave a comment so I can make fun of you personally and be like, oh yeah, fucking rich kid. You went to college, huh? Pol Pot and we got some ideas about you, pal. We got a shovel, and we feel like you might be smart enough to, what you need to be doing with that shovel. 6x6, buddy. You can maybe even extrapolate a little further to figure out what we got going for. Because here's the thing. This is what I'm doing here. I'd be like, I'm just saying what what pops into my head, and Phil seems to think it's worth putting on the internet, so I'd be like, I'll go with that. But I should try to channel that energy into, making your life better, right? So I happen to be. I'm not gonna lie, bro. More than I'm interested in any prevailing developments in heavy metal, I'm just kind of interested in how the world works all around. Because I'd be like, what the fuck is up with these people, right? Now I happen to be in the somewhat awkward, but I don't think especially uncommon position of being both woefully unlettered and also, not too bereft of some rudimentary intelligence. So I'd be like, well, maybe we should discuss a little bit of the philosophy, and dare I say, even don't run away. We can make this interesting. Some of the politics of the way the world works, in a way that pretentious and pedantic motherfuckers that like to drop a bunch of big words and just demonstrate. Should we bring up Andrew Lee right now, Phil, and just be like, yeah, I read a very, very in-depth article. I perused the article, in fact, on Wikipedia, and so Baudrillard and hyperreality. Anytime I hear anyone say Baudrillard and hyperreality, I'd be like, bro, I can tell you went down an internet hole for this one, and that's fine. I mean, it's a start. It's a good start. Pick up some books, and if you're talking about Baudrillard, pick up books by Umberto Eco, the non-fiction ones. But also pick up the fiction ones and read those. You'll have to read them like a few times over. That's not a slag on anyone. I mean, I'd be like, there's just no way to get everything out of them at once, right? But that's the thing. They're a treasure for that reason. That is some intense shit. The dude knows what he's fucking talking about. And he writes interesting stories, which I'm not aware of Baudrillard having done. So, I trust him more for that very reason. Here is, in fact, let's just open this up. Here's one of Jim Dempsey's hot takes on how the world works. This is what I legit think, after a lot of serious consideration. And for the record, I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there. You'll have to fact check this for yourself. But I think that you'll find yourself agreeing, even in due time, that I'm not necessarily the most mouth-breathing rube in the room, right? This is what I legitimately think about life. Everything, information, and data, and sources and all that, you don't think what you think because of any of it. You selectively employ it to bolster what you already would be thinking. And that's what I think. I'd be like, nobody changes from a Democrat to a Republican or vice versa, or from a Christian to an atheist or vice versa because of information or data. They follow their instinct, their judgment, their own mind, and then they take the data to bolster it. And everyone does that. I'd be like, I do that. That's just how it is. I'm just the one person that's both intellectual enough to have some recognition of the fact and also honest enough to be like, shit, I clearly do that. Because I'd be like, I legit can't feature that I'm a whole lot smarter than most other people, you know? I'd be like, yeah, I can parse philosophy, but there's so much shit I can't do, right? I think arrogance is a really good metric for intellect in that regard. You can have a certain amount of intelligence, but arrogance is unwise. The wise man learns from even the fool, right? Just saying. Now, what were we talking about? We were talking to Nazi, right? How many minutes into this are we? Let's talk about Pantera. I actually, humorously enough, I was like, let's do the Nazi, and we'll do a Pantera Burzum tier list. Pantera Burzum tier list. Put them together on there, Varg and Phil, and be like, all right, guys, we are all going to, yeah. But then I realized when I was musing about it this morning, I was like, I really have to do a double list for Pantera, because I got two separate takes on it. I do have what I would have put it on when Pantera was an active band, and and then what I think of it objectively. Because here's the thing, I've always had a really ambivalent relationship with Pantera. Initially, I hated it. I was like, that's just bro bullshit. And Big D was like, but it's good bro bullshit. And after some years, I was like, I'm softening up. And then one day, this guy we knew, I was just kicking it with him and some other people, and he was talking to this other guy about why he hated Pantera. And just overhearing him, I was like, he makes a really good argument. Fuck them. Because here's the thing. I'm not making these judgments based on the data. I'm just following my inclination, right? I'd be like, you like a musician, and this is more or less true of people relative to their persona, but there is an element to which you like a musician, an artist, etc., because you like the persona behind the art. And that's why you simply cannot separate the art from the artist, in addition to the fact that the art is made by the artist. But the thing is, it is your reaction to the person. You're not reacting to Donald Trump's policies, you're reacting to Donald Trump. How do I know? What are his fucking policies? Nobody knows. There ain't nothing there. It's like whatever. He throws shit at the wall. That's how I roll too. It's just like, if we stick, therefore we dirt, right? But, yeah. None of us are reacting to like what he's doing. Well, except now. I mean, now that he's like actually doing something with the whole fucking let's start a war. But before that, it was just like he was just being there and being himself, and everyone was reacting to that, and there was nothing about what he was doing. Because all this shit I even heard, I'd be like, people are like, oh yeah, he's gonna lock up gay people, and I was like, that makes no fucking sense. That's literally like the dumbest possible take you could have about a president and marriage equality. Because he is until January 2029, 21st of 2029, like whatever, until the year 2029, Donald Trump is the only guy to be U.S. president who is not on record opposing gay marriage. So I'd be like, no, but that's how people roll, right? You're not reacting to a policy, you're reacting to a persona. That's how I am with Pantera. I'd be like, they're kind of broy douchebags. They got that mad Texas swagger. And I didn't like George Bush that much either. The second one. The first one was alright. The second one I'm like, yeah. But that was a little bit like, that was kind of like the 8-gallon guy in a 10-gallon hat thing with some of that. Pantera, I'm like, they would legitimately beat your ass and my ass and all that, right? But just quick aside though, no hyperbole. I bet you my grandmother could outdrink them. There's stories behind that. She could match them pretty good at any rate, even in like the dark days. Like my grandma was a fucking barrel. Just a little fact. Maybe explains a lot. I'm just saying. She drank so much, I got fetal alcohol syndrome. Were we doing Pantera? Let's do this quick. I've only got a few minutes left now, right? But this is how I would have rated Pantera. And just quick note, I'm not even talking about the first 4 albums, because nobody really gives a fuck about them. And when I say nobody, I mean there's certainly at least 2 people on this planet that reach primarily for old Pantera, and even do so though being younger than myself perhaps. But as a good general rule, because when you're making general rules, you can't bog yourself down with exceptions a whole lot, right? And nobody gives a fuck about those first 4 albums. So here is how I would have rated them when I was young and listening to them contemporarily, like when Great Southern Trendkill came out. I would have said, we got the list up here, Phil? Okay, so Cowboys from Hell. I put that like down near the bottom somewhere. I was like, this album sucks. Vulgar Display of Power, I was like, it's heavier. It's a little closer to like what I want out of metal, a little less like bluesy swagger, a little more like just here's some fucking noise for you. But Far Beyond Driven was the one that I really dug on, and I'm like, this is my fucking album out of all these. And then GSTK, I think I would put down like one below that, and none of them I would put top tier. So like maybe we'll put Far Beyond Driven at A tier, and then you could put Vulgar at like C, and GSTK at like B. And Vulgar, well, below that, Cowboys from Hell, right? Like, that one would be at a D tier, and that would be how I'd rate it, right? But I feel like if I'm going to give it a more objective rating, this is how I would actually do it. I mean, technically, you would put, like, at least some of it on S tier, but I'd be like, I'm doing objectively, like, how I assess it, right? So I'm going to say, I would say Cowboys from Hell is an A tier album. I used to underestimate it. And Vulgar, I think, is a step down from it. Just a slight one. Far Beyond Driven has a sense of unity and purpose. Like, it's a less whole album, but a more just, like, slab of noise. So I'd be like, I think I would stick it back up to an A tier along with Cowboys from Hell. And then GSTK, I'd be like, C. I feel like it's a good C tier. Have I dispensed any hot takes yet in this video? I got a quick hot take for you. Floods isn't that good. I mean, it's not bad, but Floods reminds me of like a Cormac McCarthy novel, where just if you hear anyone talking about it, it's just some geek that wishes they were Person X and is like raving about how fucking good it is. And I'm like, now, mind you, it's easier to, like, just straight talk shit on a Cormac McCarthy novel than on Floods. But I'd still be like, you know what? There's too goddamn many horses in this shit. But I like how it pairs with tens. If there was no tens, Floods would be even less necessary. But the outro is pretty cool. And that's where I land on Floods. And then beyond that, yeah, I'd be like, 13 Steps is honestly, that's the only one I actually even really come back to at any point. That's like the only reason I even ever revisit. And then, and I thought about this today because I was not acting in a Christian manner yesterday. Let's just say that, all right? And I felt a little awkward about it coming up in the office today. But then at the same time, I'm like, you know what? Why do I need to let yesterday weigh me down, right? I was granted an opportunity to have a different outcome today, depending on how I decided to react to the information and data that came my way, right? And I dare say I'm used on the song Yesterday Don't Mean Shit, which I'm pretty sure I've listened to exactly one time in my life. And I thought, I was like, for 1 second, I was like, should I kind of want to listen to that. I didn't mind you. Way less than I do 13 Steps. I might catch the Revolution Is My Name song, but in general, I'd be like, yeah, that last album, that was just a shit show. That was their Forbidden. Except that I wish Forbidden was better than it was, and I don't care that Reinventing the Steel is garbage. Because GSTK isn't that fucking good. That's all I'm saying. That was the band falling apart right there. Phil sounds like shit. The songs aren't anywhere near as good as they were on Cowboys from Hell. And, you got one solo? And then Seth Putnam? GSTK sucks. And, that's where I'm at with that. And, what about here, Phil? Alright, you know what? I think we're going to curtail it here, because I did him some justice, right? But I changed my opinion on Cowboys from Hell. That's the big takeaway. I'd be like, that album is a lot better than I was willing to give it credit for, as a more punk-minded metalhead, just kind of looking for the noise. And when I say punk-minded metalhead, I mean like, I came up the long way through Iron Maiden, but my aesthetic really is just, I'd be like, if you're going to offer me today one band that sounds like Iron Maiden and 10 bands that sound like Big Black, I straight up be like, well, I get to choose the best one out of these, right? Like, sweet. No contest. No lo contendere, dare I say. But that's about all I got to say on that. So, we're done here. Pantera tier list. And Graham Plattner for Senate in Maine. Because Dr. Strangelove. Yeah, Jim Dempsey dips. The white wine is excellent today.